You know, I'm not the target audience member for these kind of animated movies, so what big reason could there have possibly been for me to get excited about this film? What are you all staring at? Oh yeah, right. Selena Gomez has a voice as a character in this series. I do like her a lot. I'm gonna set these aside for safekeeping later. I suck at these kind of jokes. Just go ahead, roll the usual intro. What is up, everybody? Random Man here, bringing you my review for Hotel Transylvania 3, Summer Vacation. Now, the plot basically follows Dracula, voiced by Adam Sandler, who is depressed by the fact that since his wife's death, he is lonely despite attempts to find someone. That is until his daughter Mavis, voiced by Selena Gomez, sets up a vacation for themselves and the rest of the Hotel Transylvania crew on a cruise as she thinks that Drac is overworked. Things change though when Drac meets and falls in love with the captain of the cruise, Erica, voiced by Kathryn Hahn, who turns out to be Erica Van Helsing. Going into this movie, I was actually looking forward to it, as I am a fan of the Hotel Transylvania movies. The first one I really enjoyed, and the second one I think is a good sequel, but my favorite remains to be the first film. I think these movies are among the most underrated movies of the current decade. My enjoyment for this franchise also has been elevated for the fact that these films have been directed by Genndy Tartakovsky. The man is an animation legend, having created cartoons like Dexter's Laboratory, Samurai Jack, and the 2D animated Star Wars The Clone Wars series. He was even a pivotal part in developing the original Powerpuff Girls, so that had me further interested in seeing where this third film could go. But it also had me a bit skeptical too, in that it was going away from the titular Hotel Transylvania setting and literally setting itself within the summer, as this movie is subtitled Summer Vacation, but I was still curious either way to see where the franchise would go here. Starting out with the cast and their vocal performances, we have Adam Sandler in the role of Count Dracula. Now, I am a fan of Adam Sandler, mostly. Some of his more recent and poorly received live-action films I have not seen, but here in this franchise, I feel that his voice is put to good use, and also his style of humor fits in with what this animated series has been known for, and I think that he has some likability towards him in the role of Count Dracula, and has developed quite a bit since the first film. Also returning is Selena Gomez as the daughter of Dracula, Mavis. As you saw in the intro, I am a fan of her. I've always liked her. I like her a lot. And her character, Mavis, specifically, is one of my favorites of this series because, like Dracula, she's had an arc develop over the course of these movies, plus the vocal performance of Gomez with a carefree personality that she has fits in with how she is very likable in the role. We also have Andy Samberg return as Johnny, the human husband to Mavis. His wacky personality definitely fits in with the style that this franchise has been using, and I like Samberg a lot in real life. The rest of the returning vocal cast include the likes of people we've seen collaborate with Adam Sandler a ton before, such as Kevin James as Frankenstein/Frank. Technically, he's Frankenstein's monster, but in real life, a lot of people confuse him for being named Frankenstein when that's the name of the guy who created the monster. So yeah, that's a funny play on that kind of thing. David Spade as Griffin, the Invisible Man. Steve Buscemi as Wayne, a werewolf who has a lot of children, which is always funny to see. Keegan-Michael Key is Murray in Ancient Mummy. He was previously voiced by CeeLo Green. Molly Shannon as Wanda, Wayne's werewolf wife. Fran Drescher, aka the nanny, is the wife to Frankenstein, Eunice. Even Mel Brooks comes back to voice Vlad, the dad of Dracula. I love Mel Brooks. He is such a comedic legend. And then some of the new cast members here include Kathryn Hahn as Erica Van Helsing, the love interest to Dracula on the cruise ship, but also has ulterior motives to kill him and the rest of the monsters here. She has a very expressive voice, and that works well here for the character that she is playing, as she is kind of a pseudo-villain in what we see with her, and bouncing off of Adam Sandler as Dracula was nice to see. And then Jim Gaffigan plays Professor Abraham Van Helsing, the great-grandfather to Erica, who is the legendary monster hunter and Dracula's arch enemy. Now he is used sparingly in this movie, and the way he first shows up in the present timeline I thought was hilarious in how just this character looks. I'm not going to say how, but Gaffigan I thought had some cool implementation here and there. Plus, yeah, this guy is known for stand-up comedy, so he has to downplay himself quite a bit for this family-friendly kind of adventure. So all in all, with the vocal cast and their performances, I pretty much think that everyone here with the role that they have, either returning or being introduced, do some outstanding jobs. The writing here, as I've mentioned earlier, set up a literal different kind of setting for this franchise as it strays away from the Hotel Transylvania setting and puts itself on a cruise ship for the titular summer vacation that these characters go on. Not only does Genndy Tartakovsky direct these movies, but he also co-wrote this film with Michael McCullers, and what they do with the script is create something new with the setting, as I've said, but also create some jokes that even work in some clever ways as to the setting change up and what the audience is seeing. For example, once we do get on the cruise ship, Dracula is joking about how, hey, this is just like the hotel back at home, except it's on a cruise and it's surrounded by a bunch of water. So that kind of stuff did have me go ha 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 and chuckle a little bit in my head. But even with that, I felt that the story here is kind of derivative of what we've seen in the first film before this, as the first film had the human Johnny, voiced by Andy Samberg, come into the hotel and fall in love with Selena Gomez's Mavis. We have Dracula disapprove, and the whole plot transpires from that. In this third film, Adam Sandler's Dracula falls in love with Catherine Hahn's Erica, and Selena Gomez's Mavis thinks that planning this vacation for herself, her dad, and the rest of the Hotel Transylvania crew will put Drac at ease, but she is also suspicious of what Erica is doing. So that kind of thing brought me back to what the first film had done before, and in that regard, it's a bit predictable to see where the movie is going, but at the same time, just like other animated movies of this nature, they are made for younger audiences, so I don't think that they would mind that much. Even comparing this to something else that I've seen recently, Teen Titans Go to the Movies, it follows that similar kind of standard plot line that fits the bill. Like the rest of the Hotel T movies though, this film brings a lot of zany animation that does use some creativity in a lot of areas. In my opinion, I feel that this film, along with the rest of the movies, are like cartoons that we would usually see on TV, but put on the big screen with a higher budget and with a lot more scale to the visuals. And this isn't a surprise considering that the director of this series comes from a lot of animation in his background. So when you see the cruise ship sailing on the water and we see a bunch of objects shoot up from water in the background and we get to see how high they really go, that kind of stuff really impresses me in showing how much scale these movies have. On that note too, with the animation, I dig the designs of the characters like I've seen before in the other movies, the way the color palette of the film looms with it being dark a lot of the time, yet still well lit, and us seeing a bunch of the action that does happen. This all goes into more of the humor, as I've mentioned, as I think these movies are pretty funny. The kind of humor that is used here is geared towards younger viewers, yet I found myself taken back still to when I was little and seeing cartoons on Saturday mornings to where, yeah, they aren't meant to be taken too seriously, and I think they are fun diversions. So if you're not into that kind of humor, this movie, like the others, is not going to stick with you that much. But for me, I was able to get into a lot of the humor. Yes, some of it I wasn't into. There are some fart jokes, toilet humor, and some lowbrow humor that wasn't well timed at some moments, but at other points, some of the humor did land with me, including what happened in the final set piece of the movie where music is heavily played up, including the Macarena song being used in kind of a music off, and usually that would be a cringe-worthy moment that would have me rolling my eyes and really just dreading seeing the rest of that play out. But me and the audience I was with were so into it. Another thing I have to give this series big credit for is having heart in each of their entries, and this third film specifically has a big message of loving who you want to love or being who you want to be with no matter your background. Kind of similar to the first film, as I said, in it being derivative of what that movie did beforehand, but either way, it's a nice message for kids to know. It all runs along at a little over an hour and a half, which I feel is the perfect running time for an animated comedy like this with a lot of its fast-paced humor. And I've got to say, all in all, I enjoyed Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation. This is not my favorite of the franchise. That would still have to go to the first Hotel Transylvania film, followed by, I would say, this film probably, and then the second one. So seeing the trilogy as a whole, I think that this is still one of the more underrated animated film series that I've seen all decade. And with what these movies do and how they fall onto the target audience, I think they work on a more than average level. Connecting to that comment too, I saw this movie with my local summer camp I currently work for, and it was a cool experience seeing this movie with them, as the kids I talked to after the film enjoyed it, as did I, as I've clearly said, and the theater we were specifically at was quite dope as well. This was the same theater we were at when we saw Despicable Me 3 last year. We got free soda, free popcorn, free pizza, and the theater had a lot of movie memorabilia. Here is a glimpse of the main hallway at this theater. Here I am with one of my campers before the movie started. And here is a glimpse of the auditorium we saw the movie in.
I bet they were hot back then.
Hey guys, give me
So yeah, shout out to the kids I saw this movie with and to the movie theater itself, Hollywood Boulevard Cinema. I am not sponsored by them, I am not paid by them to say that, I just want to shout them out because I think that this was a superb venue to see the movie in. For all of what I've said before this, I recommend Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation. My final verdict for Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation is 3.5 out of 5 stars. Thank you all, as always, for watching. Be sure to like this video, comment on what you thought of Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation, social media links in the description, subscribe to my channel for more, and I'll catch you on the next movie review.